Welcome to Library Connections, our weekly readers, viewers, and listeners advisory videocast. I'm your hostess, Linda Reimer, and just an FYI about the videos in this series, they premiere each Friday at 1 p.m. on Facebook, and they may also be found on the Southeast Steuben County Library's YouTube page. This is Library Connections number 63. It's the Friday, July 30th, 2021 edition of Library Connections. Kicking things off with the top 5 fiction bestsellers of the week from the New York Times. At number 1, Black Ice by Brad Thor, the 20th book in the Scott Harvath series. The American spy faces dangers in the Arctic Circle. At number 2, The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. Hannah Hall discovers truths about her missing husband and bonds with his daughter from a previous relationship. At number 3, The Cellist by Daniel Silva, the 21st book in the Gabriel Allon series. A private intelligence service plans an act of violence that will aid Russia and divide America. At number 4, People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Opposites Poppy and Alex meet to vacation together one more time in hopes of saving their relationship. And at number 5, The Paper Palace by Miranda Cowley Heller. After an extramarital dalliance, Ellie must choose between her husband and her childhood love. Moving on to the top 5 nonfiction bestsellers for this week. At number 1, I Alone Can Fix It by Carol Leonnig and Philip Brucker. The Pulitzer Prize-winning reporters examined Trump's final year in office with a focus on the key players around him. At number 2, American Marxism by Mark R. Levin. The Fox News host gives his take on the Green New Deal, critical race theory, and social activism. At number 3, Landslide by Michael Wolff. The author of Fire and Fury and Siege portrays events during the final days of Trump's presidency. At number 4, The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. How trauma affects the body and mind, and innovative treatments for recovery. And at number 5, How I Saved the World by Jesse Waters. The Fox News host recounts his career and prescribes ways to defend against what he considers left-wing radicalism. Our first recommended read for this week is the new T.J. Newman thriller, Falling. A man takes a mother and her 2 children hostage in their home. He offers the woman's husband an impossible choice: the lives of his family or the lives of 149 innocent people. As if that weren't an interesting enough way to start a novel, there's this. The husband is an airline pilot at cruising altitude and en route to New York City, and the choice he's given is to crash his plane, killing everyone aboard, or save the lives of his passengers and watch his family die. The husband's response is to tell the man who holds the lives of his family in his hand that he won't crash the plane and he won't let the man kill his family. Newman, who spent a decade as a flight attendant, Before switching gears to writing, she apparently wrote much of this book on a plane, gives this incredibly suspenseful thriller a great sense of vermicelitude. The cockpit dialogue sounds just right. The mechanics of flying a plane, ditto. And the story, brilliant. You read the book and think, how has no one thought of this scenario before? And how the hell is pilot Bill Hoffman going to keep his passengers and his family alive? With abundantly human characters, natural dialogue, and a plot that unleashes one surprise after another, this could be the novel that everyone is talking about this summer. And that is the Booklist review. And if you're looking for a good thriller, there you go. That is one. Our second recommended read for this week is the new Kristin Harmel novel, The Forest of Vanishing Stars. An elderly Jewish mystic, Jerusa, recognizes toddler Jana, born to wealthy Germans in Berlin and her father a Nazi, as a special being, and takes her to live deep in the Eastern European forest. After Jerusa's death, Jana crosses paths with Polish Jews fleeing the Nazis. Reluctantly letting down her guard, she teaches them survival skills and gradually joins the group, becoming romantically involved with their charismatic leader. But when he betrays her, she sets off on her own and comes to a German-occupied village where her past and present collide, putting her and the group in danger. Harmel's latest World War II adventure, following the Book of Lost Names, was inspired by her deep research into the stories of Jews who evaded the Nazis by hiding deep in the woods. Jana and her quest to understand her origins is compelling, but the real star is Harmel's richly detailed rendering of the sheltering and sustaining forest. Recommended for fans of historical novels with a strong sense of place, such as Delia Owens's Where the Crawdads Sing and Kristin Hanna's The Great Alone. And that's the Booklist review. Our first audiobook recommendation for this week is the novel 800 Grapes by Laura Dave, who you may know is having great success this summer with her latest novel, The Last Thing He Told Me. Having said that, let's dig into the plot of 800 Grapes. And I should mention that the audio is narrated by Joy Osomsky. Dave both charms and pulls at the heartstrings in this well-crafted novel about a Northern California winemaker's daughter and the foibles of her family. Georgia Ford seemingly has it all: a devoted fiancé, a high-powered career in Los Angeles, and a loving family on a vineyard in Northern California. But in an instant, Georgia learns that not everything is as it seems. She's rocked by a series of revealed secrets, including one about her fiancé, so explosive that she questions whether to go through with the marriage. And, in addition to that, the bitter and unrealized truth about her parents' relationship, which the author also covers from her parents' point of view. Georgia's wrenching journey, and those of other members of her family, are detailed in heartbreaking fashion as each character comes to terms with their new, unforeseen situation. Along the way, the author throws in a few secrets about winemaking. In fact, the title is a reference to the number of grapes needed to produce a bottle of wine, and that I did not know. That's fascinating. That's one of those little facts that I love to find out while reading, 800 grapes, can you imagine? 800 grapes for one bottle of wine, and I'm digressing. Getting back to the book itself, this winning tale will both satisfy on a literary level and encourage enophiles to pour themselves a glass of a recent vintage to enjoy while reading. It's a tasty treat for wine lovers and teetotalers alike, and that's the Publisher's Weekly Review. Our second audiobook recommendation for this week is a fantasy. It's called The Palace of Lost Memories by C.J. Archer. The audio is narrated by Marian Hussey. The king's magnificent palace was built in a matter of weeks. No one saw the builders. No villagers are allowed beyond the gilded gate, and only one servant has ever left. The haunted look in her eyes as she was recaptured by the palace guards is something Josie, daughter of the village doctor, has never forgotten. For Josie, the palace is a mystery that grows more intriguing after she meets the captain of the guards, a man known only as Hammer, as mysterious and captivating as the palace itself. Whispers of magic fuel Josie's desire to uncover the truth, but an ordinary girl like her can only dream of ever being invited inside. When the king decides to take a wife from among the eligible daughters of the noble families, the palace gates are finally thrown open and the kingdom's elite pour in. In a court where old rivalries and new jealousies collide, the king's favorite is poisoned and the doctor is summoned. As her father's assistant, Josie finally sees inside the lavish walls. But she soon learns the palace won't surrender its secrets easily, for not a single resident, from the lowest servant to the king himself, has a memory from before the palace existed. In the search for the truth, Josie is drawn deeper into danger, and the answers she seeks might shake the very foundations of the kingdom. And that's our second audiobook recommendation for this week. Moving on to our streaming recommendations, my first recommendation is the new Netflix series Cat People. Disclaimer right here, I'm a huge fan of cats. I live with 3 of them, so if cats are not your thing, you might want to skip this one, but if you like cats, this is brand new. The series is created by Glenn Zipper and produced by Sandy Tan. This is also a Hoda and Jenna documentary of the month, so if you watch the Today Show, they recommend it, and Linda, yours truly, recommends it too. Cat People is a sweet show because the filmmakers who direct each episode not only love cats, but love the people who own and take care of them. What they're showing the audience isn't a group of crazy cat people. They're showing cat lovers who have not only dedicated their lives to their cats, but have somehow made cats their livelihoods. The stories are positive and show how the people profiled have overcome adversity and keep on plugging away at taking care of their cats and showing them to the world. And if you're a cat person, check out Cat People. So this week I've got actually 3 streaming recommendations. The second and third are sci-fi fantasy titles. They're both TV series you can binge. You may have seen them before. If not, FYI. If you have seen them before, it might be time to watch them again. The first is Farscape, which was on from 1999 to 2003, starring among an ensemble cast Ben Broder and Claudia Black. If you're a sci-fi fan that loves to dip into a good classic on a weekend, this series is a good contender. Farscape is an Australian-American sci-fi epic series about an astronaut on an experimental space station who gets lost after traveling through a wormhole and landing right in the middle of an intergalactic conflict. With no time to figure out how to get back to Earth, he quickly has to figure out how to survive in uncharted territories, navigating new allies and new enemies. The series ran in the late 90s and early aughts, so it's filled with deliciously corny effects you simply love to see, or if you're like me, I'm not a fan of corny effects per se, I just suspend disbelief because that was the technology at the time. And again, I digress. Back to Farscape. The series was canceled after its 4th season, and fans rioted, leaving Sci-Fi Channel with no choice but to offer a bit of fan service and create the miniseries Farscape: The Peacekeeper Wars. And if you're not familiar with it, that miniseries ties up a lot of loose threads that they didn't get to when they abruptly canceled the series. And again, I digress. If you're a fan of the sci-fi fantasy genre and you haven't seen this series, you're in for a special treat, and that is the BuzzFeed review. Our third streaming recommendation for this week is the TV series Grimm, which was on from 2011 to 2017, so it's sort of a recent classic. And I may have recommended this before because this is one of my all-time favorite TV series. It has a lot of great character development as you go through the seasons of the show. It's also got fantasy elements and mystery elements. It's a cool TV series. So it stars an ensemble cast led by David Gintoli, who plays the main character. And the other cast includes Russell Hornsby, Elizabeth Tulloch, Silas Weir Mitchell, Sasha Royce, Reggie Lee, Bree Turner, and Claire Coffey. And everybody's good in this series. A police drama inspired by Grimm's fairy tales? Yes, please. Nick Burkhardt is a homicide detective for Portland PD. After a visit from his Aunt Marie, who is portrayed, by the way, by the ever-great Kate Burton. She's great in everything I've ever seen her in. But I digress. After his Aunt Marie visits him, Nick's world turns upside down when he finds out he's a descendant from a long line of monster hunters known as Grimms. As a Grimm, Nick can see things that others can't, including the half-human, half-mythological creatures known as Vessen. Now, Nick has to figure out how to balance his role as a detective and his role as a Grimm, which doesn't always leave him on the right side of the law. Each episode starts with an excerpt from a fairy tale that gives a hint at what the theme of the episode will be. If you're into crime shows and the supernatural, this show offers a healthy serving of both. Grimm was labeled TV's most engaging show by Nielsen back in 2011, and that is the BuzzFeed review. Our Hoopla recommendation for this week is the TV series Spies of Warsaw, Season 1, produced by the BBC. David Tennant and Janet Montgomery star in this adaptation of Alan Furst's celebrated spy novel set in Poland, Paris, and Berlin in the years leading up to the Second World War. At the French embassy in Warsaw, the new military attaché, Colonel Jean-François Mercier, is drawn into a world of abduction, betrayal, and intrigue in the diplomatic salon and back alleys of the city. So if you're looking for a historical drama, check out this series. Season 1 features 4 episodes, so you can check it all out with your Hoopla credits for the month. If you have questions about this weekly videocast, let me know. You can send an email to me at reimerl@stls.org, and I'll get back to you. Again, that's REIMERL@stls.org. Currently, the library is open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We are closed on Sundays. The library's website, which offers a whole host of information about the library, upcoming programs, and services, can be found at ssclibrary.org. StarCat and its companion app, BookMine. StarCat is the catalog of physical library materials available to all card holders of the public libraries in the Southern Tier Library System, better known as STLS. The system encompasses all the public libraries in Steuben, Chemung, Yates, Schuyler, and Allegheny counties. You can find StarCat online at starcat.stls.org, or you can download the BookMine app from your app store. And BookMine is spelled B-O-O-K-M-Y, like my, N-E. The digital catalog and its companion apps Libby and Overdrive offer cardholders access to eBooks, downloadable audiobooks, and a handful of streaming videos. The digital catalog is found online at stls.overdrive.com. You can download the Libby or Overdrive app to your mobile device to access content. The difference is that Libby is the app for newer devices, so if you have a newer phone or tablet, use Libby. If you have an older device or a Kindle tablet that takes apps, you want the Overdrive app. And like StarCat, the digital catalog offers content to all cardholders within the Southern Tier Library System. Hoopla. The Hoopla catalog features ebooks, comic books, full-length albums, downloadable audiobooks, and streaming videos, including both TV shows and movies. All Hoopla items are available for instant checkout for Southeast Steuben County Library cardholders, with a maximum of 6 checkouts per month. You can find the Hoopla catalog online at hoopladigital.com or download the Hoopla app to your mobile device or smart TV. Communicating with the library. If you have questions about library materials or services, or anything else library-wise, you are welcome to go the traditional route and simply give us a call. The library's phone number is area code 607-936-3713. Again, that's area code 607-936-3713. You can also connect with the library via social media. The library has pages on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Library blogs, we have 5 of them. We have the Book Club for Adults blog, which is found at ssclbook.club and offers information on, you guessed it, the monthly book club for adults. We have the Corning NY History blog, which offers weekly postings showing photos of our area way back in the day. We have the Creation Stationery blog, which is the companion blog to the library's makerspace. So there's creative postings there. We have Story Musings, a blog hosted by the library's resident author and head of adult services, Michelle Wells. That one's found at storymusing.blogspot.com. And then Tech and Book Talk, a readers, viewers, and listeners advisory blog with occasionally helpful how-to tech tips thrown in. That's found at sscltech.com. And briefly, here are references of the week. And that's the end. That's the program for this week. I'll be back next week with another edition of Library Connections. Goodbye, hasta luego, hasta la mana, and have a great weekend.